Hey, good morning, family. Pastor Artie here with Pointing the Way in the Word. You know, recently, the past couple years, I've gone through quite a bit. It's often, I heard people say, I don't know how you go through it. I don't know how you go through what you're going through and, and how you maintain. You know, um, because of diabetes, I had to have a partial amputation of my right foot. And it was funny because the person that picked me up, I had them take me down, and they put me in the car, and I had her drive over to my car, and I got out of her car and got into my car and drove home. And she said, "How do you do that? Right after a major surgery, you had half of your foot amputated, and you drove your car home. And to top it off, it was my right foot. So of course that's my brake foot, my gas pedal foot. But I was able to drive home. And then we I wound up having some kidney issues. So they just said, well, you're a perfect candidate for perinatal dialysis, where they put a tube in your stomach and you try to drain the fluid that way. And so that was put in there. Two surgeries because the first one didn't work. The second one worked for a couple times and then it stopped. So then I had to go on hemodialysis, and then I had to go in and have the catheter removed. And they said, I don't know how you do it. And I was thinking about it. You know, I think there was a guy who went through this in the Bible. I think his name was Job. And matter of fact, the whole book is dedicated to suffering. But I don't want to dwell on that. I want to dwell on Romans 8:35 through 39. Where it talks about what we go through, how Christ was there with us, and all the things that we go through, but there's nothing that can separate us from his love. Not even suffering. Suffering is nothing more than just a tool that we are given through Christ, believe it or not, to get through. Now, those of you who know me, I've gone through quite a bit. I can't tell you how many crazy relationships have all ended with me being alone. But that's okay because suffering is a tool. It either is going to take you down or it's going to build you up. And I refuse to let it take me down. I refuse to let it just destroy me because that's not what God wants. He wants me to stand firm. In Romans 8, 35 through 39, it tells us, what can separate us from the love of God? Can feast or famine or all these things? I mean, it goes through this list of things that people try to throw at you, or the world or Satan tries to throw at you to bring you down and cause you to walk away from God. But there is nothing. Once you are sealed, once you have given your life to Christ, you have been sealed unto God. There is nothing that can take you from that. Can you backslide? Sure. Can you make mistakes? Sure. Can you sin? Oh, yeah. But is it going to separate you from God? No. Because you've been sealed unto Christ. He's made you His. I want you to understand that. You no longer belong to yourself. You belong to somebody else. The one and only living God. I was I was watching a news broadcast about a pastor that spoke or did the prayer for Congress, Pastor Jack Hibbs. He's right out here in Chino Hills. And his prayer set Congress on end. Matter of fact, I think they sent him a 5-page letter of disgust that they wrote to the speaker because the speaker had him come in and pray. Good for him. I'm so glad he went in there and prayed the prayer he did. When I was a chaplain at LAPD, I did the same kind of prayer, and I got in all kinds of problems. I had all kinds of issues. He can't pray that way. You know what? Too bad. You need to pray that way. I remember going to a school in Northern California, and I was invited to do an assembly with the kids and my puppets. And the principal said, well, you can't talk about the Bible, and you can't talk about God, and you can't pray. Oh boy, was she in for a problem. Because I went in there with my puppets, and I had all these elementary school kids around me in a secular school, and I proceeded to tell them the story of Esther. In kind of a generic way, but yet I gave them the story of Esther. And at the end, I asked the kids, if you guys want to know more about this story, I'm going to be down the main street over at the general store, because there was a little general store there. And I said, if you want to, you can come by. And I'm going to be there, and Awesome Possum and, Vern the Bird are going to be there. And so DOG, my dog puppet. And so after school, all these kids showed up. Hundreds of them, all wanting to know more. And there I wound up sharing the gospel and told them where the story came from. So can you do these things? Sure. Are you going to go through suffering? Sure. If you've seen everything I've gone through, you would sit there and say, I might as well roll up and die. But you know what? I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to give up. If anything, I'm more determined than ever. Whether I do it with somebody by my side or nobody by my side. God didn't call anybody into the ministry but me. He called me as his pastor to share his word, to equip the saints for the working of the ministry. And that's what I need to do. And that's what I'm going to do. So today, family, if you're worried about where you're at in life and you're going through things, don't worry. God's got you. And he's ordained you to do the right thing. He's called you to give out his word, to make his message sure. What can separate you? Nothing. Not even situations that you go through. May God bless you today. May he keep you. May he make his light to shine upon you. May he give you peace. And may you walk a walk no matter what you're going through. Remember, suffering is nothing but a tool that God has given you to get you going. God bless you, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.